All right, I'm here with Karen, who's been a member of our Total Life Fitness program and has been doing really well. And she's going to share a little bit about her journey. So, Karen, first tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're struggling with prior to joining our program.
Yeah, hi everyone. I have been in the fitness field myself for, gosh, over 20 years. So, started as a fitness instructor, went to school actually for that. My degree is actually in community health education. So I've always had so much passion behind, just proactive health in general. And now I work in corporate America. So I work for a pretty big company, still train on the side, but workouts and motivation has never been an issue for me. I've never used time as an excuse, with the exception of eating consistently, eating probably the right things, probably not eating enough at times, especially for how active I was. And so that's kind of been my journey, which has been working out, probably a little too much at times, not enough food, eating too late in the evening. And so, and then trying to work 50, 60-hour work weeks, while still working out, while probably not eating enough, and then overeating. And so I think, yeah, I just was really looking for, I started thinking about like what, I've had friends that have dabbled in macro eating, and I was just a little bit curious. And I even started doing a little more research, and coincidentally, Luke and I knew each other, from my time I lived in Madison, and he reached out at the weirdest time when I was like the day I was like literally doing more macro research to like, okay, how do I even get into this? And so I took that as a sign of like, huh, there might be something to it, or I should really give it a try and learn more about the program.
Yeah, absolutely. No, obviously, like you said, lifelong fitness enthusiast, coach yourself. And yeah, so I mean, obviously, you decided to join our program. So you mentioned you were kind of doing some research. So yeah, why did you ultimately decide to join the program?
Yeah, I think what I needed was direction maybe and frustration and someone that had proven results. So I think you shared your journey as well too, when I worked out at the gym that you were training in at the time. You probably did a lot of the same things that I was doing, like you knew you needed protein, you knew you should work out, but I think just sharing, you were doing okay and fine and, looked athletic, but then really once you fine-tuned a few things, how you changed your own body, and that's where I was like, you just really piqued my interest, because I've always looked athletic. I can do anything, physically. So that was never a problem. It just was like, why don't I look better or different for how much time and effort I'm putting in? I just didn't know where to start. Like, am I not eating enough? Am I eating too much? And so I just wanted to try a few things in more of a controlled setting. And then the accountability piece is I think what I really needed, so, my fitness pal and then having a coach and then knowing that a coach was seeing what I was eating. I'm a little competitive. So I think, and honest too. So I just needed, yeah, I think the accountability piece, and I wanted a formula too. That's the other thing is I didn't want to overthink it. I needed to hit the easy button to a certain extent. Whether that was just suggestions of what to eat, hitting a number was huge for me. Like, give me a goal and I'm going to achieve it. And so I think knowing that you were going to do that for me, you or a coach on your team, that was probably what was most appealing. Like, I don't want to think. I don't want one more thing to have to think about. Give me direction, and I'll fill in the in between.
Absolutely, for sure. Just give me what to do and I'll do it. And you've obviously been doing a really good job of that. So, yeah. So, what have been your biggest specific wins and lessons inside the program?
Yeah, I think well, first off, the Trainerize app. At first I was like, oh gosh, I don't need one more app and one more thing, to have to follow. But I think the workouts being in the app have been amazing. And also being a trainer myself, I air quote knew what to do. But I realized I was probably doing too much cardio. That's what my natural go-to was. So if I was limited on time, I would rather just run or walk or sure, I would do functional training, but not, I haven't lifted heavy and seen progression because I've never really tracked my workouts, which is funny. And so I think that was a big component, just like having a trainer spoon feed me the information. I didn't have to think. And then my fitness pal. So that is now like a muscle in my body. It's a habit. I don't have to think about it. I do think about what I'm going to eat before I eat it, knowing that it needs to go in the app. So my fitness pal being connected to Trainerize, that's been really easy. Um, And yeah, I think just kind of the community component, through Facebook is nice. Sometimes I'll pop in there. I wouldn't say I'm super, the most active in there, but sometimes the team challenges have been motivating. Like I haven't even met some of my teammates, but I felt like I knew them, through the challenge, and we would encourage each other through that too, and share some ideas. So I think it was a combo of not having to think about workouts. Someone's gonna give me workouts and then switch them up for me every couple of weeks. The accountability through my fitness pal, and then just the community aspect as well. That's all virtual. I mean, I live over an hour away from Madison, so I don't see you all, but we're all in the right work together, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, speaking of the challenges, I know Karen, I think won the last challenge her team did. So Karen's always very competitive. But yeah, what have been some of your biggest specific wins? Like I know when we were talking the other day, you mentioned, like inches off your waist, like you were seeing some changes you hadn't seen in a while. Tell us about those.
Yeah, it's funny. So I joined in August of last year, so I'm coming upon a year, which is crazy. And I knew that I wasn't gonna, like I'd mentioned, I'd already worked out 5 or 6 days a week, so it's not like I was going from sedentary to suddenly moving. And I've always eaten healthy, so I knew it wasn't going to be dramatic. But I was over the course of the last year down, I would say about 8 pounds, which is a lot for me considering I've been the same weight at least for 15 years ish, creeping up a little bit. So when I started the program, I was the heaviest that I was, which was only 8 pounds heavier than now. But again, I carry a lot of muscle naturally. So 8 pounds for me is a lot of weight. The only other time I've ever lost weight was being really sick or, car accidents or something extreme, which I couldn't work out. So I was probably losing muscle. And then I've lost about 2 inches off my waist, which again is a big deal for me because I've always done a lot of core work. I've done a lot of weights. And then just, I feel great, like physically, because I'm fueling my body in a much different way. So I think one of the most surprising things, probably to a lot of people, is that like I actually eat twice as much as I've ever eaten. And people don't believe me. Like, how is that possible that you've lost weight when you eat twice as much? And I'm like, I think I really starved myself all morning. So I'd work out, I would have coffee, so I'd spike my own cortisol even higher. And then I would like barely eat anything, if at all, up until about noon. And then I was like kind of backloading the day, fall asleep on the couch. Whereas now, like, I know that I need to get my 127 grams of protein in. So I have to space it out through the day. And that means sometimes I might not be starving, but I need to take my opportunity to have the snack or whatever it is. And a lot of times when I'm traveling, I have snacks pre-planned. I cut up my cucumbers, I cut up whatever it is, knowing I'll be in my car. So um, it's gotten me much more consistent with eating. It's kind of shifted my workday a little bit. So I plan in micro breaks, whereas before I just would have powered through and worked. And then I guess the proof is in the pudding. I had this really cool test done where I had 110 biomarkers just assessed through blood work. And my biological age was actually 7 years younger than my real age. So I really attribute that to being very consistent, very regimented, but also I still have a lot of fun. So Luke knows I have a very active social life, living in Wisconsin and the weekends and going up north. And so I don't feel like I'm starving myself by any means. And it doesn't mean that I can't go out and can't have fun. It's a little bit of everything and I can still see results.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear so many positive things there. And you obviously have worked hard, and others who are listening to this might be wondering, what everything's all about. So just curious, why would you recommend Total Life Fitness to someone else?
Yeah, I think it's because it works. It's not like a crash diet, it's not a fad, it's not it's not something that you lose the weight and then you gain it right back, because it's a lifestyle change. And so anytime that you have habits, of course, like it takes time, and it's going to happen if you look at someone's habits. Whereas now, even adding something to my fitness pal, the accountability in it, I don't forget it for a couple days. It's like I'm about to eat something, I'm going to put it in my fitness pal, and then I eat the thing. And so really it's like having a trainer, taking the guesswork out of it, having someone adjust too. So that's the other thing, is like if something's not working, you have access to a trainer, whether it's Luke or one of the other coaches. And they'll say like, I'm noticing, looking at the data here, that like your weight is going up and we changed this thing, let's adjust it again. So it's not just set it and forget it, but really like, let's reevaluate where you are, let's make some changes. And the accountability piece, like, okay, are you really tracking everything? Are you remembering the beverages? Are you remembering the sauces and the ketchups and the stuff like that too? So it's like a little bit of a gentle nudge. In addition to the community piece too. So it's a virtual community at times if you live in the Madison area. I know it's a in-person community at times, but I just think it's a great way to remain consistent and then honestly change your life. Like I can't imagine going back to the way that I used to eat, which is just not enough. You know, I thought what I was doing was intermittent fasting, and that doesn't work for everybody. So like I said, I'm able to eat twice as much, and maybe you all are under eating for how active you are too.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Able to eat twice as much and still getting results. So that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Appreciate your time and thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you bet.